Imagine a scenario where a $4 million armored truck sitting in a remote northern forest can systematically dismantle a $900 million guided missile cruiser before its crew even knows they are being hunted. This is no longer a theoretical exercise for the Australian Defence Force. The newly integrated Australia NSM StrikeMaster mobile coastal defence system has officially appended naval warfare calculations across the Indo Pacific region. Under the newly released April 2026 National Defence Strategy, Canberra has committed up to $36 billion over the next decade toward its guided weapons and explosive ordnance enterprise. The strategic stakes could not be any higher as regional maritime friction intensifies. Leading global defense analysts argue that Australia has reached a critical bottleneck, with its vast coastline exposed and its naval forces heavily outnumbered by the rapid expansion of the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy. On paper, their only tactical salvation would be an affordable, highly distributed, and fully sovereign counter-intervention force capable of operating completely independent of vulnerable international maritime supply lines. This pressing vulnerability prompted a historic turning point on May 14, 2026, when Australia and Norway signed a binding bilateral defense agreement to co-produce the fifth-generation Naval Strike Missile and Joint Strike Missile domestically at a brand new $850 million aerospace manufacturing hub in Newcastle. By pairing this advanced stealth munition with the battle-proven, Australian-made Thales Bushmaster 4x4 utility vehicle, the Army has birthed a highly lethal, air-deployable ghost platform that renders traditional radar defenses entirely useless. Before we go on, do you believe small, hidden mobile trucks are now more important for modern coastal defense than massive, multi-billion-dollar destroyers? Hit that subscribe button right now to join our community for more deep-dive defense breakdowns, and tell me where you're watching from. To fully grasp the disruptive nature of this new paradigm, we must first unmask the severe strategic bottlenecks and physical limitations that left traditional naval platforms utterly vulnerable. For decades, Australia relied almost exclusively on the RGM-84 Harpoon missile system to project maritime power. Developed in the late 20th century, the legacy Harpoon operates at a high subsonic speed of Mach 0.85 and possesses a non-stealthy metallic airframe, giving it a massive radar cross-section that modern warship air defense systems can easily intercept. Compounding this technical obsolescence is an alarming deficit in mass. The Royal Australian Navy possesses exactly 3 Hobart-class guided missile destroyers, tasked with protecting over 8 million square kilometers of maritime jurisdiction. Global defense assessments published in early 2026 highlight that if a high-intensity theater conflict erupted today, these 3 surface vessels would be completely saturated and bypassed by a swarm of cheaper Type 056A corvettes and state-subsidized maritime militia fleets. However, the most crippling operational failure is a hidden logistical reality. Internal military data from March 2026 reveals that Australia maintains less than 30 days of sovereign fuel reserves. Because multi-billion-dollar capital ships are massive consumers of refined diesel, a coordinated maritime blockade would effectively render Australia's premier surface fleets useless and stranded at port within a month. Yet, while the island nation faces this existential logistics crunch, its adversaries suffer from a fundamental law of physics known as the radar horizon. No matter how advanced a Chinese Type 055 cruiser's radar array is. The curvature of the Earth prevents it from detecting objects traveling mere meters above the ocean surface at distances greater than 40 kilometers. This critical physical limitation creates a blind spot in multi-layered warship defenses, establishing the precise tactical vulnerability that a land-based stealth option can exploit. This exact physical vulnerability is where the newly developed land-based weapons system enters the battlefield to completely rewrite the rules of engagement. By placing the advanced Naval Strike Missile onto the robust chassis of a Thales Bushmaster 4x4 armored vehicle, the Australian Army has created an unprecedented solution to its maritime defensive crisis. The ammunition itself is a masterpiece of fifth-generation engineering, measuring 3.96 meters in length and weighing exactly 407 kilograms. Constructed primarily from specialized radar-absorbing composite materials, it boasts an incredibly small radar cross-section. More importantly, it operates with a sea-skimming flight profile that allows it to fly just 1 to 3 meters above the waves at a high subsonic speed of Mach 0.9. This means it approaches hostile vessels entirely below their radar horizon. Unlike legacy systems, it utilizes a passive imaging infrared seeker that emits zero radio frequency signals, rendering the enemy's electronic warfare jamming countermeasures completely useless. While an adversarial warship is actively scanning the electromagnetic spectrum for incoming threats, this stealth weapon tracks the vessel visually, comparing it to a pre-programmed database to select the most critical compartment, such as the command bridge or the main engine room. Because these 4x4 mobile launch platforms can move at 100 kilometers per hour through the dense tropical terrain of northern Australia, they can perform rapid shoot and scoot maneuvers, packing up and relocating within exactly 180 seconds of firing. This level of mobility keeps them entirely safe from satellite detection. Looking ahead into the next 3 to 12 months, independent reports from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute predict that these land-based batteries will be integrated with regional unmanned assets, like the Ghost Shark underwater drone by late 2026. This tactical integration will solidify an automated, multi-layered defensive web capable of locking down the critical maritime choke points of the Lombok and Sunda Straits. This rapid evolution of land-based maritime strike capabilities forces a fundamental showdown between two competing military doctrines for the remainder of 2026. On one side stands the traditional school of thought, which favors centralized power projection through multi-billion-dollar capital ships and nuclear-powered attack submarines under the AUKUS framework. These massive platforms offer unmatched command capabilities and global reach, but they require astronomical long-term investments and remain vulnerable to advanced anti-ship ballistic missiles, such as the DF-21D. On the other side sits the highly pragmatic doctrine of asymmetric deterrence exemplified by the Australia NSM StrikeMaster system. This method prioritizes distributed lethality by scattering firepower across hundreds of cheap, highly mobile domestic platforms that are easy to conceal and incredibly difficult to target simultaneously. The ultimate strategic lesson of this transition is that modern conventional deterrence is no longer about who owns the largest or most expensive hull on the ocean. Instead, it is about which nation can mass-produce independent, resilient networks capable of denying access to critical maritime geography. Australia is demonstrating that by securing its own military-industrial supply lines with the new $850 million Newcastle facility, it can protect its vast borders despite severe logistical constraints. As we look at the shifting balance of power across the Indo Pacific region, a critical question remains for future naval planners. If a major conflict erupts in these contested waters, do you place your trust in a concentrated fleet of multi-billion-dollar destroyers? Or would you bet on a distributed network of highly mobile stealth missile trucks hiding in the wilderness? Drop your analytical insights and tactical perspectives in the comments section below. If you found value in this deep dive defense analysis, please hit the like button and subscribe to ensure you never miss our upcoming strategic breakdowns.